Evening, guys. How are we doing? Just a quick update on how things are going on. And if I'm honest, um, came out of my other ones. They did have nice violent moves, at least 100, pips to the downside. But what's really caught my attention is these Japanese yen pairs. So if I do quickly come onto, I mean, this is GJ in front of your screen, but let me bring up this JXY. This was a very strong reaction. 85, if we made that 5, obviously keeping in alignment with these key institutional levels. Got 88.50 there, which has held massively. This is a very big, strong reaction from this Japanese index here. Similar concept to the dollar index here, but this is the Japanese yen. So if we can, there is a little miniature counter trend line in here. If we can have a clean break of this, there's a scope for this to actually come and rally pretty high. So I'm going to look for this, see if we can break this Japanese session into the London session and see how this reacts into tomorrow. But if I put that in relation to what I'm seeing at the moment, I've kind of got GBP JPY. Now, there's certain opinions at the moment whether this thing can go higher or lower. I personally am looking at this strong bearish candlestick holding a lot of weight. We've done exactly what I said that we would do Monday, Tuesday. We've pushed into the highs. And we do have a little miniature fib at the moment reacting off of this 4-hour time frame here. The 8-hour time frame is pretty bearish on it as well. And what will determine the next movement of this leg is if we can break this minor inner trend line. If we can break this inner trend line, I do believe we could roll over with a counter trend line cross. And we could start a little phase back in towards 147. If not, come back in towards 146 and complete the fib. I am in still favor of a bullish movement. However, the risk reward on this does look pretty good, and we have had some strong bearish momentum out of this region previously. So once again, we've hit that level. We've seen some difficulty. We've seen the Japanese index actually double bottom out at that 88.50, and therefore this GJ does have a possibility of potentially breaking that counter trend line and looking to either come and revisit the lows, at least 147.50, I believe, and then we could deal with life after 147.50. But at the moment, a nice 130 pips away from that. Maybe the Asian session will push that thing back down, but it's a strong 4-hour closure. If anything, it's at the bottom of this range. It's at the bottom of the range. I can take this in here. Just going to change the color of this. I can see that we are at the bottom of this range. So what I would like to see is a break of this 4-hour range and a break of the trend line, and we can see how price is reacting. The reason it's got my attention is because they all look very, very similar. They all look very, very similar. Euro JPY, again, did something as I suggested on my Instagram. 1 drive, 2 drive, 3 drive. Attempted to break, had a 4th drive into the high, and a strong 4-hour break and closure on that 4-hour time frame, leading once again us to remain in this consolidation phase between 132 and 133. So again, if we are going to drop lower, I don't think this will drastically drop lower, but we've got a nice previous swing point here. We've got the tweezer top up here as well, and we could come and revisit at least 131, if not 130.90, if we did have a nice break of this region in here. Now, a lot of our consolidation zones, if we're going to move that amount of pips in that level, we are potentially going to move this amount of pips at the same time. So this for me is going to be determined on whether we can break back below 132. We could see a nice 100 pip sell-off if we do break 132. However, there is also the opportunity to form something like this. The same way that we dropped into the support, boom, hit the level of support and just rallied. We still have this 4-hour 50 EMA there as well. And the daily MA is in alignment with the 32. So at the moment, we could just come and revisit the support low, and we'll have to see how price reacts from there. In terms of a break of this level, the same scenario applies. If we did break the highs, we can come and hit 134.40 very, very comfortably. So something to keep an eye on, definitely. But that consolidation range is essentially where price is stuck at. And if we did have a little drop down, I do favor a little drop in towards 130.90 if possible. UJ's dying for some relief. Dying for some relief. If anyone has ever needed to understand a series of high lows, boom. Got this huge release of pressure at the moment. We've come and double topped at the high on the daily time frame. You've got your nice tweezer top level here and a nice bit of a bearish engulfing coming into play up here off of around 113. Key psychological level. Now what I'm going to stay away from UJ, but if this does drop, this will signify that the rest of the Japanese yens can fall as well. The same way we use this protection level in here. If we break 113, 150, we can then look to go back towards 114. So that's still a nice, 150 odd pips or so. Sorry, no, sorry, a nice 90 odd pip rally in towards 114 if we break to the high. However, having already hit a previous resistance in this zone, I am looking at this having exhausted itself in this weird, almost kind of exhaustion phase, and we've looked at the break off the resistance there with the MAs crossing over. So I could then see this thing coming a little lower, if not come and retest 112, where we previously found areas of resistance and forms of support. So this again is also lining up in my favor. Let's take a look at that JXY again. Not much movement, but again, big, strong 4-hour candlestick there. CAD Japanese yen, if I look at this, is looking very good. 4-hour, huge bearish engulfing there. Daily time frame, snap. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 previous days of price entirely engulfed and released of pressure from around that 87 level. Again, the previous highs up here. If I follow this up, AJ is probably my favorite trade here. I haven't quite taken it just yet. I'm looking for a little pop towards 82, but by all means, I will be looking at this as a position. You can see here on the 4-hour, that's a big 80 pip rejection of this high up here. 82.40, same scenario. Consolidation, I'm looking for the breakout. I'm looking for the continuation in the breakout. I know all the MAs are up. But what's interesting me is the fact we've had 1 touch, 2 touch, and a potential 3rd touch at 82. So I am looking for a correctional phase. I can see that this area has previously acted as support before. And if we did come lower than this, then by all means, we could almost have an inverted head shoulders off of 80 as well. So well worth me being in this, even if it's just for the 100 pips down towards 80, 70. NJ, I'm going to stay out of it. There's some news that has just come out earlier on. But again, a similar scenario. Daily 4-hour consolidation zone. If we can break back below, we could quite comfortably come and see 74 once again. So yeah, just to recap on that, GJ, it is looking, if we can get the break below that counter trend line there. EJ, consolidation, looking for a break. UJ has broken, and I do expect that to drive ourselves back lower. Japanese index is looking pretty strong there as well. Now, what you're all interested in is what's going on with these US dollar pairs. Well, once again, there's not much more I can say. We are stuck in this consolidation. We've got this huge 4-hour piece of release of pressure once again. We had a bit of a non-event today. I thought, and I was fully expecting there to be slightly more of an event having come out from that kind of Fed decision. Obviously, we increased the interest rate, but that was already priced in. So it's just whether their statements or their monetary policy remained firm, which they did. So we could see a little bit of a rejection. And if we did break out of this consolidation zone, again, we can look to duplicate the 4-hour time zone and then drop straight in towards 1.1650 if we break to the lows. And I'm not interested until we break the highs on a daily time frame. On a daily time frame of 1.790, effectively 1.180. So hopefully that clears Euro USD up. GU struggling at this 1.32. All the price looks pretty much the same. What we could see is a nice retest of 131.90 again before rolling over. Aussie dollar, well, that's an extremely aggressive 4-hour candlestick, but gives us scope to actually come and reach the 0.72 level. At the moment, that's still a confirmed lower high, to be honest. That daily 50 EMA is reacting very well. We can see how that's affected once, dropped out the sky, affected twice, dropped out the sky, affected a 3rd time, dropped out the sky, and we have reacted from that quite aggressively as of today as well. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. I was fully expecting further downside into this support anyway of around 0.720. We haven't quite reached there, but again, we've got a nice little counter trend line in here that could be used as reliability in alignment with that that 4-hour piece of price action here having spiked the previous high and rejected. We could see price come back in towards these levels as well. USD CAD looks very strong. Now we did achieve 1.300. We had no form of reaction or rejection. Those of you that have been messaging me talking about should I be taking the trade, there's no reason to take the trade. Even on the 1 hour, there's no price action here. Even on the 4-hour, we've just had a clean break and closure above. So to be honest, we're probably going to come and retest these highs up here, maybe around 130.60. If not, come and retest 131. 131's been a major level for the pair in the past. You've got attempts over here, in here, here as well. So this could be deemed almost like a bit of a double bottom. We could just push a little higher. I'll probably come and recap a little bit later on, whether that's tomorrow or tomorrow is Thursday. Yeah, tomorrow is Thursday. So that's kind of what's going on there. Dollar index, again, just accumulation of spinning tops, dojis at the bottom of a downtrend, really showing a little bit of deacceleration at the moment. Having made a new lower low, what could we expect? Could expect a nice pushback towards 95, to be honest. If we did break this, we could come up into that level. Now, in terms of some exotics for you, EA, we did have, like I said, we did have the movement, whether it was earlier on today or later on, at some point you've had over 100, 150 pips from this decline up here. Whether or not this continues, as I said, for me, it's a beautiful setup. And I would expect this to roll over, to be honest, especially in the long term. It's just all a bit messy. It's just all a bit messy. And therefore, my head hurts. I'm teaching all week. And I just don't know if I can be. I just can't do all. I just can't trade and teach and give my energy in things like Telegram and do all these things at once. So I've come out the trades. I've taken some profits. Nice, kind of 7% growth from that EA and GA across the board on an account I'm working on. So for now, I'm going to step back. It could be an unbelievable trade. I do believe this will be an unbelievable trade and roll over. We just got to get other things and need a little bit of help from other places as well. Something like GN and EN, again, reactional price, but it's still looking very wicky to the downside. But we are looking for potential further downside. But that is that for now. Like I said, that Japanese index is probably what I'm focusing on the most. Can we, on the 4-hour time frame, come and break this little trend line? If we can, we could push higher, especially back into that at least 89.20 level, come and fulfill any gaps that we've made previously. So I hope that helps. And I look forward to catching up with you pretty soon.